Hello again, I'm Molly Caron here on behalf of Full Figure Media, and my guest is Gilles Cyrenne. He is the president of the Carnegie Community Center Association, and we are enjoying the shelter and warmth of the Carnegie Theater in the center of the city. And I'm really happy to have met you today because I know your heart is here, and you are a poet as well as an activist.
That's correct, yes.
So Gilles, tell us about the Carnegie Center's association with CPAC.
With CCAP, which is the Carnegie Community Action Project. The Carnegie Community Action Project is a project of the board, and we employ the activists. We pay their coordinator and their workers to do activism in the community and to make recommendations for helping homeless people, to create, part of their mandate is to try to create more housing, to raise the welfare rates, and to end gentrification.
And the Carnegie Center also employs what used to be the field house.
Yeah, the Oppenheimer Park field house used to be operated by Carnegie staff and volunteers.
And what has happened?
What has happened is I think about 5 or 6 months ago, the field house was closed because there were so many fights and so many overdoses in the park, and the staff is trained to run recreational programs. And at one point they felt that they were no longer safe in the park. So the decision was taken to close the field house, and that decision was made by Vancouver City Hall, not necessarily by Carnegie staff.
So Oppenheimer Park is a very interesting intersection. We have the Parks Board that is employing and taking care of the park. We have the city that is trying to house at least 50 people who are living in the tent city of Oppenheimer Park in the middle of January. And we also have the police. What do you think needs to be fixed? How do we find balance?
Well, I mean, the first thing is to get housing for people. That is number one priority. We have to find housing for people. In the 70s, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation used to build almost as much social housing as there was private housing being built. And if you look at a graph, the chart goes year by year by year by year goes down, and then it flatlines about 15 or 20 years ago. So very little social housing is being built. The building of new co-op housing isn't being supported. So all of that and the economic theories that led to that dissolution of government involvement in the economy has created this problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is the destination for many people who come from all parts of Canada to be here. So there's never a shortage of need.
That's correct.
And it's an epicenter for care and nonprofits and harm reduction. So we really have a big to-do list.
We do have, we have a big to-do list. I mean, there's, number one is, like I said, is housing. And we want to find housing for people, but the community is also upset because they feel they've lost the park. Yeah. There are I think 15,000 people who live in the Oppenheimer district. Most of those people don't have yards or balconies to hang out in like other people do in the other parts of the city. So this is their backyard. And a lot of people don't feel safe going there anymore. So we absolutely have to find housing. And the fact that the community wants its park back should put even more pressure on City Hall and province and the feds to do something. The other problem is the drug problem. We've had this war on drugs going on for 40 years, which is basically, I think, almost instrumental in murdering people. I just saw a program on TV yesterday about prohibition way back in the 20s. That doesn't work. Prohibition does not work. We need safe supply, continuing safe injection site, and it's been proven in the Portuguese model that a safe supply actually motivates more people to get into rehabilitation and into detox. So providing a safe supply of drugs actually heals people. Yeah.
And it's a point of contact and a window into
recovery. Into a healing community, into therapy, healing, detox, and so on.
So I'm a mom, and I don't take my kids to the Oppenheimer play
Right.
area park. And I understand that also that the land use is an important issue, and a lot of people don't want to live in a shelter. They want to be outside with their dog and their belongings, and they have claimed Oppenheimer Park as this sort of front line for reclaiming land.
Right.
So I feel for the people who don't have green space and live in the downtown east side, and I also feel for the people who want to have a pied-à-terre and
Yeah.
a little camp spot. I wonder what the Parks Board and the city, what agreement they can come to. What do you want to have happen?
And in this conflict between community and the campers,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's fair to have I told him I would not want to be outside, especially in this weather. I can, really sympathize with that. I was homeless myself for a little while in Edmonton in the winter 40 years ago. Wow. So I know what that's like. To resolve it, this conflict, we need housing, and also I don't know that the people are saying, well, they won't accept housing unless it's a certain standard.
Yeah.
And well, come on, I'm wondering, do 50 homeless people actually have the right to deprive 15,000 people of their park? Yeah. 50 homeless people, and they're activists, and God bless them for the good work they do, but we have to find more balance. Like I've said before, and I said it in my letter, towards the end of my letter to City Council, that if this camp were in the Crescent in Shaughnessy, or if it was at Kitsilano Beach, I think the city would have done something a lot quicker. But it's the downtown east side, so what? They let it slide. They let it slide. So
and the social experiment continues.
Exactly.
So you're asking that the mayor and council and the Parks Board of Recreation show leadership in finding alternative housing and services for the campers so that Oppenheimer Park returns to being safe, welcoming, gathering recreation space for the residents of the downtown east side. Pretty simple.
Yeah, it's not complicated. And a lot of why the recreation programs that are important there are people like Carnegie Community Center itself is a very low barrier community center. And you have to, in order to be banned from Carnegie, you have to really work at it. You've got to really do a lot of stuff that's not safe for other people in the community. But there are people who have a hard time even being in Carnegie despite our low barrier, but they can come to programs at Oppenheimer, to rec programs, there's bingo in Spanish. There are art programs, music programs.
Summer they have an open mic outside.
All kinds of things, and it's not only just recreational programs. It's like the connection between the staff and some of the people there. Like staff would be remind people that they have medical appointments, remind them to take their medications, remind them that they need to go see the doctor, or that they have an appointment. So staff would keep track of a lot of stuff with people that are having a hard time with basic life skills. Yeah. So, and the community has been deprived of that.
The Carnegie Center is vital, and it is celebrating 40 years this January.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it's low barrier. It is a remarkable meeting place with a library and a cafeteria, a resource center. I find it as the best part of Vancouver. I love it down here. Yeah. What is happening in the celebrations that you can share with us?
Well, we had a dance yesterday with a really great band called Las Divas. On Monday, which is the actual the day of the 40th anniversary of the opening of Carnegie, we're having a free lunch for people in the community. Very nice. We're going to have cake at 2 o'clock. We're having concerts throughout the year. Many different events, some theater, some concerts. We're also planning Downtown Eastside Writers Festival, which I'm involved in the planning of. So we're going to bring in Downtown Eastside writers for readings, workshops, storytelling, in over a 3-day period in 5 or 6 different venues in the downtown east side. That's part of the celebration. So yeah, lots going on.
You're part of a writers collective.
Yeah.
And writing for you, how has writing as a creative outlet helped you process?
Well, my book, that was my first connection with Carnegie Community Center was with the Thursdays Writing Collective, which ran for about 10 years. And I'd always wanted to write in my life, and I'd sporadically written at different times, but joining Thursdays Writing Collective really got me going. We were given a prompt, we write for 10 minutes, and it suddenly, all this poetry came out of me that I didn't realize was there. So it was, and it was connection with other writers, and it was just a real liberation for me in a sense. And, it's helped me to become a poet, to become an artist, which I had always had in the back of my mind all my life, but never was able to quite do it. But Carnegie and Thursdays Writing Collective got me going, and I looked across the aisle, or across the corridor up in the 3rd floor, and there was the Learning Center. So then I became involved in the Learning Center because when I was younger, I was involved in teaching and education, but that went sideways because of depression and addiction issues. And then I recovered from that and wanted to get back into education. So as a result of the Learning Center, I started doing volunteer tutoring. As a result of doing volunteer tutoring, I am now teaching grammar for downtown east side residents that go to free lectures at UBC to a program called UBC Hum, which is also connected with Carnegie. And then because of all of that activity in the community, people started talking to me and asked me if I would want to be on the board. Wow. So then I got involved with the board. So my writing's just taken me in a whole different trajectory in my life. So I got on the board, I became really good friends with the president, and then she wanted me to be vice president, so I became the vice president. I said, I'm becoming vice president, but I am not going to be president. But Phoenix Winter, who'd been president for 5 years and done amazing work, after 5 years was getting a bit tired. So I said, okay, nobody else wants the job. And Melanie Mark told me one time, she said, oh, you're the president now. I said, you must have picked the short straw, which is basically, nobody wanted the job, so here I am, I'm the president of Carnegie Community Center After Association, an adventure that began with my writing.
Well, your momentum is unstoppable, and I'm so happy that you set foot in the Carnegie Center. And we are grateful for being able to use this space once a month to bring to light the positive stories, the creativity, the solutions, and the rants and the raves of the heart of the city.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many amazing, amazing people. I mean, I don't know, this community explodes with creativity. I mean, the Heart of the City Festival has, God, how many events? Like 120 events over 10 days, I think, this year. It's just, everything, music, poetry, literature, it's art, Vancouver Movie Theater, yeah.
And I'm happy to see that there are 10 years of writing from the Downtown East Side's writing collective here as well, from others as well, all inspired by getting together and getting creative at the Carnegie.
And writing together. We do what happens most writing sessions is somebody gives us a prompt, we write for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we share if we want.
That's great.
So you have and there seems to be something about writing in a group that, I don't know, the muse manifests when you have a group working together, and then you've got an immediate audience and feedback and sharing and conversation, and it's the writing community is like, it's a community within the community that just is here because of Carnegie. And that book you just shown is an anthology of 10 years of Thursdays Writing Collective writing. And then when that ended, the people who were doing it wanted to move on. Ellie Kralji Gardner, who's an amazing poet herself, couldn't do it anymore, or was moving on to other things. So some of us wanted to keep writing and together, so we met, and then together we formed Downtown East Side Writers Collective, which I also coordinate.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, well, people who are taking all this in are probably very curious to maybe join this collective. How can they get in touch and drop in?
We meet every Thursday here at 2 o'clock in the third floor, small classroom in the third floor.
Of the Carnegie Center?
Oh, the Carnegie Center, yeah.
Main and Hastings.
Main and Hastings. Best corner in Vancouver.
Yeah, don't be shy. You might meet some fascinating people down here, like Gilles Cyrenne. I'm Molly Caron for Full Figure Media. Find us at Access TV on Facebook as we rebrand, and like us on YouTube. We want to hear your story, and we can handle the truth, so get in touch. Thank you, Gilles.
Okay, thank you, Molly. It's been great.
It really has.
Yeah,
Right
thanks.
on.
Yeah. Hey.